We're gonna be talking about that. We're gonna be talking about how a lot of times when it comes to imposter syndrome, it's actually not the environment you're in, it's how you view yourself and how your own thoughts will end up sabotaging you. And sometimes, honestly, well, not sometimes, every time when you look at your lack of progress, right? And it's something that's within your control, it goes back to how you think. It goes out about how you perceive yourself. It goes back to all of that. And you'll think of these things that will end up oh well, it was too hard, or because I wasn't smart enough, or I wasn't good enough, or however you view yourself, you'll sabotage yourself because of those negative beliefs. And
Right.
unfortunately, you won't be able to be successful. You won't be able to have the life you want. You won't be able to make the progress at work you want. You won't be able to, and I'll say this, even for those who do make progress, because there's the other side of that as well. You're still not happy. You still don't think you're good enough. You could have all the money in the world, all the women in the world, all the everything in the world, and you're still not happy. So we're going to talk about how to identify those thoughts, challenge those thoughts, and reframe them so you could have a better outcomes, right? Kill imposter syndrome and annihilate all negative thinking altogether.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I just want to let you know, guys, I'm Gordon Watt from Boundaries and Brotherhood. I'm your residential coach, and Doc is your in-house doc therapist. He's a real therapist. If you don't have like him, if you don't have nothing to do and you want to find out who he is, look him up on Freedom Change Success. So scan that code right in the back of him. But today's topic, right, as we're gonna say, is talking about that self-belief and that self-sabotage. Because understanding that most of you, like we said in weeks before, even with Carrie and stuff, with Doc, we said, you are the key. It's just you just don't believe in yourself. And in this video right here, in this podcast, Doc's gonna explain how self-belief comes about and how you can rephrase it so that you believe in yourself again, whether you're in the dating scene, whether you're at your job, especially what's going on right now, because there's certain cues that you do to gain that self-belief ideology, but we want you to get confident in what you got going on in life right now. And this is what this is going to be all about. Doc, how would you justify or how would you define subtle sabotage of self belief?
Well, well, here's the thing. I guess was how do I define it? It's the limit. They call it limiting beliefs. So
Okay.
to be honest, it's not actually sabotage at all. What it is that you have, think of like a thermometer, right? Or think about your thermostat at home. If you set it to 74, it will not go beyond 74. And if the temperature goes above 74, what's it going to do? It's going to kick on, it's going to bring it back down to 74, right? Now, you might, so when it comes to our beliefs, right? We can never go beyond what we believe. So what you actually think is sabotage, what you think is imposter syndrome, things like that, what it really is that no, that's the limit of your belief. So unfortunately, what happens is because we have that limiting belief, we will then reset back to where we are. So if you have a great relationship and she's finally loving you and treating you right, and you don't believe you're worthy of that, you're going to sabotage that. You're going to start making up excuses as to why because she brushes her teeth with her left hand and not her right hand, or she's too easygoing, or she doesn't cause any issues or drama or anything like that. So I'm going to leave her and break up with her. It has nothing to do with her. She might be confused, but it has to do with I don't believe I'm worthy of love. I don't believe I'm worthy of good treatment. So I'm going to reset back down to that limiting belief. And that's what happens time and time again. And so a lot of your progress is hindered because you don't believe you could actually do or be where you want to be, or do what you want to do, or be around who you want to be around because of those limiting beliefs. So that's essentially what that self sabotage is. It's not really sabotage, it's your brain saying, hey, we don't really believe that. We don't really think we're that guy. So let's reset back to who we think we are. We think nobody loves us. We think nobody cares. We think we're just here to be used. We think nobody wants to get to know us. And so now we're going to go back to that, and we're going to frame everything in that light.
Right. Now, the one thing I want to say about limiting self beliefs and how you rephrase it, where does it all start from? Right. Those beliefs usually come from past trauma, childhood trauma, something that caused something in your life that made you believe a certain way about certain things. I always like to use the mailbox, the mailman theory, right? You have two different mailmen. One is afraid of dogs, one is not. One at some point in life either had a bad experience, got bit by a dog, or one that didn't get bit by a dog and is going to go and pet it, right? Now, your limiting beliefs might have an experience from you not being confident or having dealt with those type of things in your life, but you know, it'll crush you as an adult if you don't get it fixed or didn't at least treat it in a way or let it let out. This is why me and Doc have correlated and collaborated in this because millions and millions of people are trapped in this self-belief sabotage of themselves. Doc, how would you people don't want to be told what to do. People want to be like shown how. What would be some of the steps we could do for our viewers?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing is you'd want to identify what your limiting belief is. That's the first and foremost, right? This isn't one of those things you want to try to muscle through.
Mm,
You might be able to muscle through it 1 day, 2 days. You can fake the funk a little bit, but remember your beliefs are literally the programming of your mind. You cannot go beyond the programming of your mind. So that's why you can fake the funk for a little bit, but eventually you revert right back to who you are.
right.
It's just guaranteed you cannot outrun the programming. So what does that mean? We have to change the programming. So first we have to identify what is the programming. What is it that I believe about myself? And when it comes to core beliefs and limiting beliefs, they're in three categories. They're in three main categories. And it has to do with self-love, it has to do with self-worth, and it has to do with self-efficacy, right? And then it's our relation and these relations, these beliefs in their relation to ourself, others, and the world, right?
Okay.
So and actually let me take a step back. I said self-love, self-worth. What it is it's love, worth, and efficacy, right? So what happens is, and there's other categories, there's that 10 other categories, subcategories in each of these. And so what ends up happening is you have to find out, okay, where's my limiting belief? Right? What is it? Is it, I don't trust people? Maybe it's because you learned from when you were younger, you were in school and you tried to open up and you were bullied, and it hurt. And
Mm,
that it was like, okay, I gotta learn not to trust people. So you
right,
carry that
right, right.
with you. So now you move forward. Was it that you always had to earn love? And that's a big one for a lot of us. That's a very, very, very common limiting belief among not just men, honestly, even women as well, because of how we parent our children. We learn that we have to earn love. We have to do something or be something. So that's a limiting belief. And so,
Oh,
so long story
ooh,
short, what you needs to happen is you got to make sure you identify what your limiting belief is.
right, right, right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of interesting because I have to understand, like, if you believe in this type of stuff and you think this can change your trajectory of life, if you say that you're not worthy of love and you're not looking for it, you won't look for it as an adult. And if you're liking this topic so far, please hit that follow button right there at the bottom, or hit that like button and figure out if we can help you make yourself feel worthy of love and what you got going on. Because even in the dating scene, what I see with all these videos and I see people getting ran over in the love game and everything else, it comes down to how you was raised up as a child, like Doc said. If you were always trying to look for acceptance or validation and you thought that's what love was, it's not going to work, right? Now, as an adult, you keep sabotaging yourself, not knowing what the problem was. But like Doc said, you have to really dig deep because even when you have acceptance, you will sabotage relationship because you don't feel like you're uh, worthy of it all, right?
Mm,
And that's one of our topics was a couple weeks ago where you wasn't worthy of it, so you're just gonna blow it up anyway.
mm,
Carrie talked about I'm gonna blow up my relationship with him because that's a feeling that she never did understand and feel.
mhm.
How are you seeing some of the, I would say, clients of yours or stories that you can say that how there was at one point like this and how you can get them to that?
Well, I mean, again, it kind of just goes back to I have to take a little bit of time to think about a specific story. Um, because it take a little bit of time to think about a specific story, right? But I can talk about the concept and how it works. And
Okay.
so what ends up happening, so I'll use an example. Let's say you're looking at your relationship, um, and you're saying, "Oh man, nobody loves me or nobody cares about me," this is generalized across a lot of my sessions, right? Nobody loves me, nobody cares about me. I have to work for acceptance, things of that nature. The first thing I ask someone is like, says who? Who says that you have to do that? Who says that you have to earn love, And then what that does is, because the thing about negative belief, you know, it doesn't really stand up very well to scrutiny. Those negative beliefs you have about yourself, your self-worth, they don't really stand up well to scrutiny because they're not based in reality. What they're
For
based in is
some.
you have what they're based in, you have certain events that you've painted that way. So, and that's another thing as well. We'll get to reframing later on, but you have to remember that your reality and your experience is based off your perception. It's that you take the information in and you give it a meaning. And so, what I do is start having them challenge that. Like, is that real? Is that true? Is that accurate? Is it really that way? Nobody loves you. Nobody cares about you. And you start asking those questions. Like, so nobody in your entire life has ever cared about you. And I've yet to find a person that says that's right. Objectively
Yep.
speaking, no one's ever cared about me. They always say, well, there was this one person, or there's this person, and then the list comes, right? So then the negative belief, I was one question in, and I was able to poke it and bust it, right? And so now we get to more conversation. Now, well, what are these relationships like? What did they do? How did they show you they cared? Things of that nature. So negative beliefs, that we continue to uphold. We're using. Think of it like think about trying to keep something together with bubble gum and paper clips and staples, right? It's not going to hold up well. Negative beliefs don't hold up well to scrutiny. So, simple question is that true? Is that 100% objectively true? The answer is always going to be no, and it forces us to start thinking, well, shoot, yeah, no, it's not true 100%. I might feel that way, but I've
Right.
internalized it that way. And so that would be one of the things I would say as far as my clients are concerned, without going to a specific story, that's generally what happens when I talk to my clients. I ask them a simple question: is that true? Is that 100% accurate? And then it
But
gets them to start questioning it.
even coming from your professional aspect, right? You have some people that really believe that their belief system, their belief is so ingrained, right? How how do you get somebody to get from that belief to like saying practicing rephrasing or reframing it
Hmm.
so that they can, I have a tool, I've sales, convincing yourself, um making influencing people is all about reframing situations. How do
Hmm.
you reframe somebody to not self-sabotage themselves with their own beliefs?
Well, first you got to destroy the old belief. You got to
How do you
destroy
do
it.
that?
You got to poke
Walk me through
holes
it.
in it. Well, I mean, that's what you do. You ask them those questions. You
Oh,
ask
okay.
them, is that true? Is that accurate? Right? And you get them to start poking holes in their own belief. Because now when you know it's not true, you know it's not accurate, and you know it's not 100% all the time, then you can start breaking it down. Well, what makes you perceive this situation that way? Then you can start going through and reframing them one by one. Oh yeah, my parents, they were just so perfect. Were they really perfect? Were they there for you? Well, no, not really. Or oh my gosh, this relationship is the best one ever. Is it though? Like, is it? Like, well, let's talk about it. Is that actually, in your opinion, like your thoughts, right? Like, is this what a great relationship looks like? They don't show up for you. They don't do this. They don't do that. Whatever. And
Right,
it's like, oh
right.
shoot, like, and it's because it sounds like because you always complain about it. So what's so great? So basically, you get people to start questioning their own negative belief,
Ooh.
and it starts tearing it apart. And then
Oh.
as you start again to question their negative belief, you start offering reframes. You ever consider it like this? You ever think about maybe they weren't thinking about it? You ever think about maybe they had something else going on? You ever think about maybe they had so haven't you had something like that happen before? And now you get them to start questioning and looking at these different reframes and then recognizing that, oh shoot, maybe it's not exactly like I thought it was. Well,
True.
actually, it's funny. A story came to mind. I actually just now
There
had a
you
session
go.
earlier this week, and it was with a woman though. It was with a woman, but
Okay.
it was the same process though, right? I
Yep.
started, kind of just asking her questions, the same questions I was just telling you, and then it started bringing up some things. Well, but but he does actually ask you if he wants, he does offer help. He does do that. He does do that. And all of a sudden she's like, oh, shoot. Yeah, that's a great point. And then also, oh, shoot. And yeah, I'm not actually allowing people to actually come and help me. So now you start picking up the real objective truth and start adding facts in there. Because that's the thing. Once you start adding facts, you start poking holes in negative beliefs and then you start adding objective truth, and you start adding positive reframe, the old beliefs can't stand up and then the new beliefs start to be implemented. But then of course you got to start acting on those as well. So it's not just a head game. You actually have to start acting those new beliefs out and incorporating them.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's really understandable because like a lot of people they might be putting on a mask every single day for their work, their job, their relationship, their marriage, for their kids, for society, right?
Hmm.
You might have these certain beliefs that they cannot be changed. I'm here to tell you it can be changed.
Yeah.
It might take a little work, like we said last week's session. If you want to look at that session, I'm like, you have to put in the work in yourself. And most people that don't put in the work will get the same result. Now, when I say put in the work, I don't mean the physical labor. It's they're digging deep down to actually change that situation. Like Doc said, right? If you cannot look on, like, say, a whole spectrum of what is possible, you're only stuck in that one channel, right? If you're stuck in one channel for that one belief that you have that all men are bad, all women is going to be, all women is going to fool around, for
Yeah.
example, you're just sabotaging your own belief into finding somebody else that's good. That's just a perfect example, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I came to you, Doc, and I said like, okay, Doc, I have this limiting belief that my kid is not going to grow up to be a positive member of the society, right? For example,
Hmm.
what would the steps you take down? And this is the stuff we do in our workshops, guys. The workshops that we're coming about, we're going to be able to break down your belief, break it down to a million pieces, put it all back together so you have the confidence in yourself to have a purposeful life and going moving forward. And that's the beauty of this all, right?
Yeah. So chances are, if you were to come in with a limiting belief, you probably wouldn't state what the limiting belief is. You probably complain about the problem, right? So it'd
Come
probably be like,
oh,
my
oh,
son,
complain.
my son,
Yes.
he's not going to be anything in this world. All he does is mess around. He does this and that, and he's going to be a failure. He's not going to be a productive member of society. So you probably come in something like that, right?
Complaining.
So yeah, so I empathize with you at first. Oh man, sounds tough. ABC one, two,
Ah,
three, right? But then we get to the work. Well, tell me a little bit about your son. What's he doing? Oh, he's playing music and he's making music on his computer and all that. And that's not a real career. And he's just, and then he's just hanging out with the wrong crowd. Okay, well, what's the crowd doing? Oh, they like to skate and things like that. And they don't get the best grades and okay, all right.
okay.
So just start gathering information, right?
Right.
And so then we start throwing some facts in there. Okay, music producers can make a tremendous amount of money and residual income and royalties. They can do, and they don't even have to be on camera or anything like that. You, oh, really?
Oh, all
Well, shoot,
right.
I didn't.
See?
Now you get new information, right?
Right.
Because I don't know what the father's beliefs are or whatnot as far as like what his career, but the assumption is that whatever my son is doing is not going to be worthwhile, right? And if for anybody
That's
who at one point in time, especially from the millennial generation, where the parents are like, "Oh, you'll never make money playing video games," this example fits very well because there's plenty of people whose parents were like, "You're never gonna make money playing video games," and there's people now that are millionaires by playing video games and having people
oh,
watch them play
absolutely.
video games. So just
Absolutely.
want to throw that in there. But what I would do with that person, I would start again chipping away. Hey, did you throwing
In a way.
information? Hey, did you know that you can make this amount of money? Well, is he in the streets? Is he getting women pregnant? Is he on drugs? Is he snorting lines? Is he selling drugs? Or his friends selling? Like I would start asking these questions because his assumption is he's not going to be a productive member of society. He's going to fail, right? So I would start asking those questions. Then we start moving to the reframe. Well, it sounds like he's doing pretty productive things. And like he could be doing worse. And maybe he's not
I
playing
was just
sports
about
like
to
you
say.
want, or maybe he's not a stellar student, but then the education system's a garbage anyway. So basically what I would start doing, I poke holes all through his negative belief. And then I start giving him positive reframes and help him to see it in a different way. And I've done that with a lot of parents as well with their kids
Yep.
because they're like, oh, my kid's a degenerate. Ah. And I'm like,
Oh,
well, I can't, and they don't want to talk to me. Well, probably because you're calling them a degenerate. Probably because you're yelling and screaming and cussing at them and insulting them. Like, would you want someone to do that to you? Again, throw that information in there.
Yep.
Oh shoot. So you get people to start being able to start self-reflecting and looking at it and really start thinking about it because a lot of times our brain is an echo chamber. It's not a place
Yes.
where we go to challenge change ideas. It's a place where you go to confirm them. That's the way beliefs work. If you understand the belief cycle, beliefs are self-propagating. They're self-reinforcing. And that's why they're so dangerous. That's why you keep blowing up your relationships and blowing up your opportunities and blowing the money and all those things like that because your beliefs are they're self-reinforcing. So until someone can come along and start offering you, poking holes in what you stand for, your belief, and then start offering you a new way to look at things, you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So,
I
so
mean, it was just we just looking at a video like the other day where it's like Patrick McDavid was interviewing a guy. He applied for 300 jobs and he said he couldn't get a job. So Patrick McDavid said, I'm gonna send you some people. I'm gonna interview you. I'm gonna get you a job. What does the guy say? Oh, I gotta do my due diligence on your
you got to
company.
check it out first. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, I gotta check it out first. Like,
Yeah.
you just said you applied for 300, so you didn't want the job regardless. Because if somebody wanted the
Exactly.
job, they would jump high end over it.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh, wait,
does
wait,
quick?
hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Before you hop, 'cause I saw that Jubilee episode, and if y'all haven't seen it, it's a great episode to see. But there was another girl on there as well. She was talking about, oh, I have all these mental health things, and you don't understand, and it's so hard for me, and I can't get the health care, and this and this. He said, I will take care of all your mental health care. All you got to do is just go to this guy, this psychiatrist that I know. And she's like, no, I don't want to do it. Okay.
It's
All right.
crazy.
So, but again, self-propagating, right?
Right.
The issue isn't your mental health. The issue isn't you can't find a job. The issue is your mindset and your beliefs. And it's because you have that mindset and beliefs, a lot of times victim mentality in those two cases, you'll never get out of it unless someone starts poking holes in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I'll
Well,
be
it goes to
honest.
it
But
goes to show.
Gordon, I'll be honest though, man. I'll be honest. There's a lot of people that don't want to really change that mindset. They love
Of
being the
course
victim.
not.
It's so
See, it's
much
easier.
easier. Yo,
It's
yeah.
easier.
Oh
It's
my
easier.
gosh, it's the white man, it's the black man, it's the government, it's the rich, it's the poor,
Yeah,
it's the
it's
in
easier.
between, it's my teacher, it's my parents. Oh, woe is me. And listen, I'm not here, disparaging anyone who's been through something, but at some point in time, you got to get yourself up and get to moving. You can't
And
stay
that's
there, even if, because
and that
it's true. It can be the white man, the black man, the government, your mom, your dad, your best friend, your girl, your wife. It could be all those things. I'm not saying that's not true. I'm just saying, what are you going to do about it?
yeah,
Because you
and
can't
that's
just
I was
keep
about to say,
sitting
yeah.
there blaming everybody. You got to do something about it. And that's why I'm saying, Gordon, with what we're talking about today, I think the biggest part is the person has to really want to change. They have to really want and be willing to be challenged in these things. Because I've been in also conversations when I get that where people have a bad case of the yeah buts. I don't know if
Oh,
you
I
ever,
hate that. Yeah,
yeah,
but
that's
not
a
the yeah, but
yeah,
the yeah,
that's
but that but doobie.
yeah, that's a bad sickness, man. That's a
The
bad
yeah, but
sickness. Yeah, but. Your yeah, but all the facts. And because this is what people do with yeah, buts.
yeah, but
Yeah, but all the facts, right? The objective truth. Yeah, but, it's the job is too far away. Yeah, but, it's going to be too hard. Yeah, but I can't get up early. Yeah, but, yeah.
yeah.
And so ultimately, it's just like, you don't really want to do it. And so, I'll be honest, I don't talk to people like that anymore. And the people that like that, the people that give me the yeah buts, and they want to come to me and talk. I don't offer one. I don't offer one iota of advice, one iota of mindset shifting, one iota of reframing. I just look at you and say, oh, yep, man, that's crazy. Oh, wow. Because I'm not gonna. Why would I engage if someone doesn't want to change? Why would I try to gauge someone that doesn't want to change?
Yeah, you can't because they're going to deflect. They're going to make excuses. They're going to do
Yeah,
everything else possible. They're going to do everything because a lot of the times they want the quick fix, but they don't want the fix. They
they
want
don't
to
really
talk
want the
about it.
fix.
They want to voice it. They want to do
Yeah,
that. They're going to blame something. They're going to deflect. They're going to yabba dabba dooba, but
yeah.
they're going to not do anything.
They don't
And
want the
how do I
fix.
know
Yeah.
this? Is because I used to be that type of person, right?
Hmm.
And that's why I kept going back in and out of prison. This is why I kept doing drugs. This is why I kept filling in everything that is. And then when everything happened, I had to change, and I promised myself and the man up above that just give me one more shot, give me
Mm-hmm.
one more chance, right? We talked about this because the quick fixes are basically trapping you in self doubt, right? The quick
Yeah.
fixes, the alpha males you see on YouTube now, the stuff that you see going on right now with the overnight transformation, it cannot be done. It took me years to dig deep to figure out. And what has happened, right? Even with when I came out after doing my vacation time, they even told me, do not get a job in this. Do not hire ex felons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Between that, right? After that, they said, do not try and buy a house because the courts will not approve it, right? I had to prove my worth more to the court system, the BOP, the judicial system, and the job and become the poster boy because I did get the job on the strip that I'm not supposed to have. I did get my house because if not, I didn't buy that house. I couldn't afford it now but I had to submit all the paperwork through the courts to approve it. I
Mm-hmm.
did have to pay off my $80,000 child support in arrears to get COVID money. If I didn't pay that, I wouldn't be homeless, right?
Mm-hmm.
But those are the things that if I made excuses for everything else that I've done, I wouldn't have not been here talking on this podcast, giving advice to other people that might be in the same situation. I'm living proof you can do it. It's just if you want that thing, if you want that motherfucker, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, you're gonna make all the excuses in the world and sit back and just say, "Oh,
Oh yeah.
woe's me,"
Yeah.
right?
That's what it is. That's what it is. 100%. You know?
But let me ask you this: what if people feel like they're drowning and that no one cares? How do you rephrase that using the therapeutic side?
Well, first, if someone's drowning, the first thing I'm going to say is, obviously you're depressed, you're overwhelmed, helplessness, you're in that
Mm,
state, right? Which means you got too much going on first and foremost. So I wouldn't even touch the beliefs yet. First, I would get to that point. Like, why are you
ah,
taking on, what is causing you to take on so much? And then I would get them to prioritize within their life. I would get them to get on a schedule where they're only working on no more than three priorities in a day. And anything else that's not serving them, anything that's not filling them, anything that's just draining them, I would say cut it off. Cut it off. That's the first thing I would do. And so once we've done all that, then we can start doing the work as far as like change any beliefs that might keep them hindered. Yeah.
right. This is perfect because you just gave me the how to do it, right?
Yeah.
Giving me I wouldn't focus on like so many different things because a lot of times you might be living like a half life. You want to go for it, but you want to hold yourself back, right?
Mhm.
You want to do a workshop, you don't want to do it. You don't want to commit to yourself and yourself, but you want to make excuses for yourself to get what you need,
Yeah.
right? This is where in the near future, in like 3 weeks, we're gonna be doing a mini workshop. So if any of these touch on you, right? Look out, leave us a comment on our YouTube channel and say assessment. And we're going to start giving you guys free assessments so that you guys can see where you're at. Because the assessment, the assessment might be something you want to do alone, but it's online. It's doing something because this way we can gauge where you want to go
Mhm.
because you might be having bad relationships right now. You might be putting on a mask for your boss every single day. You haven't drawn any boundaries. If you look at all our content that was previous up to this point from January to October, we delved on content that builds on confidence, becoming the 11th man, self validation, self belief. Everything that comes with you becoming a change is in our playlist. We will be doing workshops going into 2020 because we want you to become a better person from now, 2026. You're just going to run you're going to just like hop, skip, and a jump because you're going to have confidence. You're going to validate yourself. You're going to be able to be happy with yourself you know, comment, assessment, and any of these things, and we'll get those things to you. But Doc, let me ask you this:
Yes.
do you believe anybody is broken?
Um, is anybody broken? No, I don't think people are broken. As a matter of
Beautiful.
fact, the fact of the matter is we're not broken. We've learned different strategies to survive. It's just that a lot of these strategies aren't
Nice.
necessarily working for us, right?
Right.
So we're not broken. Broken. If we were broken, we'd be dead because we wouldn't have survived. But we've learned and we've grown and we adapted and we programmed our mind in order to survive. And that's what a lot of people are doing. It's a survival tactic, right?
Mm,
Um, when it comes to self-sabotage and things of that nature. It sounds strange. Like, how's that a survival tactic? Because the setting that you have in your life, that's what's normal. That's what that's what's safe. So that abusive relationship or that a toxic relationship or that bad job, yeah, it's bad, but it's safe. It's what you know, it's what you can handle. So yeah, no, we're not broken. We just learned the wrong thing. Now we need to unlearn that thing and learn something new that's more beneficial to us. And that's why it's
nice.
so important to challenge those negative
Nice.
beliefs and break those and give new beliefs and reframe so that we could actually have the life we're looking for.
What are some of the maybe because you could be silently struggling right now. I get it. I've been there, done that. You mean does that because you just don't have the direction or the course or the you don't know how to deal with it. But most people today are trapped in a cycle of just say you might be emotionally suppressed. You might be trying to people please. You might be loathing in self-doubt. You might be putting on a mask every day to perform for say whoever it is. You know what I mean? We want to get you out of that so you can be good enough for yourself. Like Doc said, we've been saying this through the whole thing. You were born good enough. It's
Yeah.
just you haven't found out because you got misguided, you got
Mhm.
mistreated, you had something happen to you, you've seen something, but we have to get you back so that you can be the person you were meant to be in God's eyes, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like I'm not saying if you're not a faith-driven person, I wasn't before, but you gotta understand that a lot of times you still here for a reason.
Yeah.
That reason you maybe have not found out. It might be being the best father to your kids. It might be the best wife to your husband. It might be the best teacher to the the derelict kids that you have, like what me and Doc do right now.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it isn't your fault. You can change, right? You put fault on it, but it doesn't make a difference because that's what we're going to be doing in the workshop. Because the workshops, the integrated man program that we're
Yeah.
figuring out, might be something you might get into. Doc, let me ask you this last question:
Hmm.
Do self communication and emotional intelligence play a key in yourself?
Like, so self-talk and emotional intelligence, absolutely. And I also say this just to, I want to piggyback off of something you said just a second ago, where it's not your fault that you're where you are, you know, as far as how you got there and how your beliefs were.
Mhm.
But if you don't get up and do something about it and change, that is your fault for staying there. And
Mhm.
that is really important. And the people I work with, even when it comes to like trauma and things like that, we think like you gotta if someone takes responsibility for it, then that's gonna change my life forever. And unfortunately, while it's great if some people take responsibility, don't get me wrong. If someone's hurt you or abused you or things like that, it definitely helps in the healing process.
Process. Yeah.
But you got to do the work still, right? There's still work to be done so you can unlearn those old beliefs and learn new beliefs, healthy beliefs, positive beliefs that are
Health.
going
Yeah.
to benefit
Beautiful.
you. So, but to your question, you were asking about self-talk and and emotional intelligence. It does play a role and it can play a big role, right? Because for one, if you are emotionally intelligent, meaning you know what you're feeling and you know how to respond to it and you know how to regulate yourself, right? If you know how to do that, that could be a good step in challenging your own beliefs, right?
Yes.
Because like, dang, why am I so upset about, my wife taking my underwear out the dryer? Why am I so upset about that? That seems like a small thing, and I usually don't get upset about that. It gives you the opportunity to start questioning yourself, right?
Questioning. Yes.
Yeah. So that having that emotional intelligence is critical. If you don't know what you feel, if you're just reactive all the time, it's gonna be extremely difficult for you to see what needs to be changed in yourself. And as far as
Beautiful.
the
Yep.
self-talk, It's self-talk is critical when it comes to the beliefs, negative and positive, because what you speak over yourself is what you actually create. you know
Deep.
and here's the thing, in the Bible, there's a scripture, I think it's in Exodus, where Moses meets God in the wilderness, and Moses asks him, he says, who should I tell sent me? And God said, I am that I am, right? And if you know what I am means, I am creates whatever comes after that. So God is essentially saying, I am the creator, right? I am that I am. I'm the one who created everything, right? So now, obviously, we are not the creator like that, but we still have that same power, right? We still have that same power to speak life over ourselves or death, right? Because whatever you say after I am is what you create. So when you say, I am stupid, I am horrible, I'm unlovable, I'm not worthy, I don't belong to be, I don't deserve to be here. When you say that, you are literally programming your mind and saying, okay, that's what it is. Oh, we're unlovable. We're unlovable. Great. Now let's do things to make ourselves unlovable. Let's be jerks. Let's be nasty. Let's be avoidant. Let's be too clingy. Let's do everything in our power to make it so people don't want to be around us. So then you create, right? You
Yep.
create that life. Like I was saying,
Create it.
your
Yep.
belief is a self-reinforcing thing. So if that's what you believe, then you keep talking, you're going to create that. And so you wonder why there's so much hell in your life. Well, it's because you keep saying all these negative things. I can't do it. It's not possible for me to do it. It's too hard. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough this. I don't have enough that. You create that hell in your life. You create this. You create that limit. You put the ceiling on yourself. But on the other side of that, though, the people who say I am good enough. I can do it. I can overcome. I can achieve. I will make it through this. I won't be defeated. People who start talking like that, that's what they get. And you wonder why they do the impossible. And you wonder why they become millionaires and billionaires. And you wonder why they have a healthy relationship and they save their relationship. And you wonder why they save their children. And you wonder why their health isn't so good. And they went from being 400 pounds to now they're a solid 195 of pure muscle. You wonder why that. Because that's the reality they're creating. And so what ends up happening, Gordon, is that, their brain's like, oh, that's what we do. Oh, great. That's what we're going to be. If we're going to be, 200 pounds of solid muscle, that's what we believe we are. And you're saying it. Oh, then we're going to start doing things to create that. So
Oh,
the
absolutely.
words we
100%.
use are so powerful. Affirmations are so powerful. I cannot stress enough because, and then I cannot stress it enough. I can't stress it enough, right? Because not only do you have to make sure you're careful about what you say about yourself, you also got to be careful about what you say about others. And what comes to mind is your children. Because while you think you're doing them a service by tearing them down and calling them names and challenging all those things like that, what you're actually doing is speaking death over them. You know,
True.
you know.
100% on that one. Yeah, I believe that on that.
So I'll just say that. So yeah, words, your self-talk, and emotional intelligence play a massive role in your beliefs.
So now here's the last thing, right? If some of you resonated with this type of content where you might be stuck in a situation and you want to break free, or you might be silently struggling because some of the people that we talk to, they might be silently struggling, but they don't know where to go to. You mean this is not for the people that's accomplishing everything, but we do have something because at the back of it, it's still a brotherhood, regardless, and you still have to have boundaries. But if you want to learn how to master communication, you want to learn how to have a high emotional intelligence for yourself, so you don't flash off all the time, or you might be even overwhelmed by emotions, don't know how to deal with it. The workshop at the end of the month, starting from this October, every last Thursday of the month, we'll be doing workshops, right? Because now we're going to quell that self doubt, how you're lying to yourself, what you're not doing, and how to silence it forever using Doc's teaching and my insights from my past. You know what I mean? We're going to crave that silent trap that you keep putting yourself in, so you don't have to stop craving validation and be happy with yourself with the confidence that you need in your own self, not seeking out outside validation from the phone or coming to something like this just to see if you're right or not, right? I want you to stop performing and just be enough in your own skin and your own self. Point B from point A to point B. We want you to get you to point C where you live your dream life because your situation right now that you could be in could be real bad, but that also could be somebody else's dream, right? You could be struggling right now talking about all the problems you have, but somebody else is worse. Right? So it's like realize, count your graces, be grateful for what you got going on right now because the situation you're in, somebody else is in a what much worse place. And whatever phase in life that you're in right now, remember that there's always a way out. I'm not saying undo yourself, but there's a way out. That's the direction we want to go to. Doc, close out the show and let's get us because that was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully you guys gotten some help from this. You know, and again, don't allow your limiting beliefs to keep you trapped in a life you don't want. You could have whatever life you want, right? I
True.
promise you that. Any life you want, you can have it. If you want to have a great relationship, you can have it. If you want to have a great job, you could have it. If you want to have a great business, you want to have be a great father. If you want to have like whatever you want to be healthy, you can have it. But it starts by challenging your thoughts up here. It's challenging those beliefs. That's where it starts. Because once you change the programming, then you don't have to worry about ever going back. That's the thing. Once you change that programming, you don't have to go back. I just updated my phone to iOS, what, like 26 or whatever it was. I, I'm not going back to what was before,
Right.
right? I don't have to go back to what's before. I have something better now. And so it's the same thing, right? And if guys, and if you need help, we're here. I think that's really important, right? If you need help, we have a whole catalog of information that you guys can tap into, talk about a lot of different issues that men struggle with on a regular basis. So if you need help, reach out to us. Comment below. I believe we have our email somewhere, Gordon, that they can reach out to us.
Yep.
Listen, we're not hard to find. I'll say that we're not hard to find. If
It's
you
not
need
hard to
help,
find right now.
we
Yeah.
can get you on the right path. We can help you. We're not promising some overnight fix, right? But we can promise you that you will get the help you need and it will change your life
Right.
if you're
If
willing to do the
you're
work. If you're
absolutely,
willing to do the work.
if you're in a situation where I mean, the mindset that's you're not in, think of the things that you want to get to and start looking at for 2026. We'll be providing all these workshops. Guys, this is Gordon Watt from Boundaries and Brotherhood. I mean, keep your head up. This is everything that we got doing. I'm put here with Doc, so we can change your mindset to do your business, your sales, do anything you want. Have a life, fulfilling life with purpose.
Hmm.
All right, aloha. We'll see you guys.
You
Thanks for
guys
joining
take
us.
care.
All right, bye bye. Beep 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 beep. All righty.
Okay.
All righty. Let me get this live stream in live stream. Boop. Boop. All righty. Yeah, perfect.